days. But I think one of the themes that I consistently run into in blockchain is that a lot of the behavior of companies in our world is not due to capitalism. It's actually due to the inefficiency of the operating system upon which those companies are built. And what blockchain does is it makes that operating system really efficient so that it can make great improvements in how we organize people into endeavors.
Yeah, I really like that analogy, and I was wondering if you could expand on that with Facebook as an example. Like, what is their operating system?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would say in Facebook's case, you could point to things like, Facebook is building essentially a public goods communication infrastructure. Like this idea that we should be able to communicate by DM or to send a picture or to use each other's timeline is now just a very standard thing in our world. It's just how we communicate. 10 years ago, like maybe sorry, not 10 years ago, 20 years ago, maybe you'd be like calling a bunch of people on the phone every day. But now it's absolutely normal for us to speak to 17 countries in the course of a day, right? And this is because communication infrastructure has become an integral part of our world. Now, in Facebook's case, you have this giant corporation who is providing that infrastructure and inserting their corporate interests and their need to, quote unquote, maximize shareholder value in between the customer and this like basic service. I don't want to go as far as to say that it's like water or air, but it's definitely like very, very standard and needed, right, in our modern sort of way of life. But there's a conflict of interest there. And so when you see these debates around, should we let this person on the platform, should we let that person on the platform, you then inevitably get into this like really inefficient discussion around what are the corporate interests of Facebook, in relation to how the platform is run. And I think what blockchain allows you to do is just say, listen, this is, first of all, just technological rails. It in itself is not inherently necessarily political, but it allows you to build and organize structures and human interaction in such ways that those issues could be addressed. And you can't really do that with Facebook, as long as it stays a private legal a legal entity and a corporate entity. But even in Facebook, you see them launching things like community governance because they're starting to recognize that being the arbiter of those kinds of decisions, sort of as a middleman, is no longer tenable in our modern world, and it's becoming a huge liability.